Well, hello paper enthusiasts. I'm RidersDX and welcome to my channel where today I had to tell Nintendo something. Like something that's like really been making my heart swell up to like insurmountable levels. Nintendo, I need to tell you. And the reason that I want to say that is because we just got this huge, gigantic info dump about Paper Mario the 1000-Year Door, and it's just like way too much information to process. Like it literally feels like we got dumped like 10 encyclopedias in one day, and I'm desperately trying to digest all of it. And so thank you, Nintendo. I love you. Thank you so much for giving us all this stuff we've been asking questions about for like who knows how long, but dang, it is painful. It is painful, but it is torture that I am fully willing to undergo. And so I watched all the previews, I read through all the tweets, I watched all the trailers and gameplay footage and blah 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 blah, and I came up with 15 facts about the brand new 1000-Year Door remake that you probably missed. Everything on this list is focused on like a brand new addition or change being made to the game, and so if you want like a one-stop shop to learn everything you need to know that's different about this game compared to original, then you have come to the right place. There might even be a little tidbit at the end about potential post-game content, so we'll discuss that at the very end of the video, so stick around with me. Okay, number one, the first thing we really need to get into is the music. The music sounds absolutely insane. I'll play some snippets of the music right now, but basically everything sounds like it's being made with this like big band feel to it. It very much reminds me of what they did with the Origami King, which is amazing because Origami King is low-key one of my favorite Paper Mario games of all time, and the soundtrack is a really big reason for that. And so to see them kind of go in that same direction with this game is really awesome to see, and I hope it makes people appreciate Origami King a little bit more because that game had a lot of great design choices and the music was definitely one of them. And number two, going off of the music, the battles in particular seem to have some different variations that play depending on what area you are in, not just the chapter. There are different variations of this battle theme within the same chapter, which is amazing. Like listen to some of these examples. Brava, brava is all I gotta say. It sounds absolutely incredible, and I just love this musical style, and I cannot wait to hear the rest of the soundtrack in this style. And number three, there also seems to be a huge revamp of all the sound effects overall. I believe a lot of these sound effects are also in the Origami King, so they probably took a lot of those, but there also seems to be a lot of new ones. The sound effect that I find to be the most interesting one is the fact that all the characters have some sort of like voice clip when they're speaking now. So Goombella has a certain voice clip, Koops has a voice clip, even Madame Flurry has a voice clip, and so everyone has some sort of sound when they're talking now, and it sort of just like, you know, gives you as much dialogue as possible without actual voice acting. So we all know that like Mario is very well known for that, and really glad to see that here. At number 4, if you don't actually care for all this new music and all these new sound effects, which I guarantee you, there will be someone in that audience that is like this right now. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, sir. If you don't care for this new music, you don't want these new sound effects, then fear not, because there is a new badge in the game called the Nostalgic Sounds badge, I believe. It has a GameCube icon, and basically just for a measly price of 1 coin, you can buy this, equip it for no points, and you can hear all the classic sounds and music from the original Thousand Year Door. And so we do have the option to go back to the original soundtrack here, which is just amazing. At number 5, man, I really just cannot stop talking about the music over here, but it literally is one of the most awesome things about this remake. But there is a new option in the menu that actually allows you to play all the music in the game. Now, I'm not really sure if this music is available from the start, or maybe you just unlock it as you go, or maybe you need to collect something to unlock it, who knows. But you're able to play through various tracks in the music in the menu, and you can also have all these different options like shuffling the music, for instance, looping a playlist, or even looping a song. Now, I wonder if you can actually like play this music to your own liking while you're playing the game, or are you stuck on this menu if you want to play whatever music track you want. And so hopefully it allows you to like select the track that you want and play through the game at your own accord, but we'll see what happens. At number 6, we're gonna spend some time on the menu here because there's a lot of new things here that we need to go over. Like for instance, there is a new section to view concept art. And so Nintendo is one of those companies that they don't always give us like full transparency in terms of like the development like histories and such. And so concept art is a very special thing when it comes to Nintendo. And so we already got to see a little bit of concept art in the initial trailer that they came out with earlier this week, and it shows off some concept images of Madame Fleury, for instance, and also Dupless. And so we're gonna get to find out more about the actual development of this game and how they came to the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door that we know and love. And so it's great. I love seeing this kind of stuff, especially in a remake in particular. A remake definitely calls for some extra content, and so concept art is one of the easiest ways to incorporate some more extra content into the game. It appears that finding all the shine sprites and star pieces in a chapter will grant you to a specific selection of concept art. And so there we go, more reasons to collect all the collectibles in the game. Number 7, there's also another new section in the menu, and it's called Notes. And this is where various things will be stored that honestly I would have loved to have in the original game. For instance, if you take any quests from the Trouble Center, you can put those quests in this notes section, so you can kind of use it to remind you of what you need to do, and that is just super useful. There's also like hints for like star pieces and such that you can put in here, and so any kind of useful information you basically get throughout the game can be stored in this section from what I'm seeing, and that is just so useful, such a great quality of life change. This is the kind of stuff that a remake needs to be doing. And number 8, speaking of Trouble Center, it seems to be revamped a little bit as it has a brand new NPC character that actually is in charge of the Trouble Center. So when you go and accept a quest from the Trouble Center, you can actually talk to this guy and he will give you hints on how to complete your quest. And so just seems to be another optional quality of life addition being made over here to help players through the game. I'm really happy for this because I'll be honest, I didn't spend a lot of time in the Trouble Center when I played the original game. So this may kind of give me some more incentive to actually explore that a little bit. The character's name is Ian Fumis, and I mean, I love him already. At number 9, this is one of the most exciting new quality of life features in this game, but you can actually change partners without accessing the pause menu, which is huge. All you need to do is to hold down the L button and it brings up a ring that lets you select through the partners and let you select a partner pretty much a lot more quickly compared to the original game. And that is such a great addition, such a great choice. I'm glad to see it. Again, this is the kind of stuff a remake needs to be doing, and this remake is definitely hitting all the marks here. At number 10, if you hit ZL at any point, regardless of what partner you have, it actually brings up dialogue with Goombella telling you what you need to do next. And so I felt like the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door wasn't like the most difficult game to get through in terms of like figuring out what you need to do, but you know, there's definitely going to be some moments where people have struggles and having trouble to, you know, figure out what they need to do, and to be able to like access Goombella that much more easily is going to be great, because as you get further into the game, you're going to have to use partners a lot more frequently besides Goombella. So being able to access Goombella's like helpful hints without even selecting her is really awesome. Really glad to hear that. And plus, we all need more Goombella in our lives. So she just just gets to be in the game even more now. At number 11, I just want to talk about the graphical overhaul of this game because wow, this game like looks amazing. It looks absolutely incredible. So I feel like this is a very faithful remake. So look at the game, you can tell it's still the Doubts in Your Door, but there's just some really subtle changes here and there that are actually pretty significant and really gives this game a whole new feel compared to the original. Like for instance, I think the most striking thing that comes straight at you when you look at it is the lighting. The lighting just seems to like improve like the contrast of the levels like so much more. Like I can see like a common feature of the improved graphics of this game is that there's a lot more like glaring sunlight in all the levels here. Like for instance, in Hooktail's castle, that sunlight is literally glaring through the windows over here, despite the castle being like completely dark and having no light inside. And so there's a really weird contrast between like the bright lights outside, but also the darkness of the interior castle. Meanwhile, you go to Rookport sewers, for instance, and that is completely dark. Like there was all this light in the original version, and now in the remake, like it is completely dark, very little lights, has a bit of a bluish tinge to it actually. And the graphics don't really feel that much more detailed, but they do feel a lot more like contrasted and a lot more like unique in terms of visual style. So that's really cool to see. Another thing that I wanted to point out that I'm sure people have noticed at this point is that there's just a lot more paper in the graphics overall, like the paper trees, for instance, and the paper grass. You know, it's not just like 2D sprites anymore like the original game. There's 3D objects kind of molded in that paper style. It really reminds me of the Origami King. And so I think it looks great. I'm really excited for it. Number 12. So this NPC was spotted a lot earlier in the original like footage of this game, but this purple toad is confirmed to be something called a battle master. And so basically this toad appears throughout the entire game. So in various locations you go to throughout the game, you can talk to this toad, and he's basically like a tool that you can use to help practice like more complex moves in a game. For instance, when you're battling against like the toad, he can actually guide you through the timing of like the super guard, for instance, which is great. So it gives you an opportunity to master more of these like complex moves that maybe were a little harder to master and actually get a hand of in the original game. So I'm excited for this. I personally was never really that great at this game, so it's nice to have this little tool over here to help you like practice. Number 13, this is definitely like the least exciting item on this list, for instance, but it really isn't a huge deal to be honest. And so the Switch version is going to play at 30 FPS, which is unfortunately different from the original game, which was 60 FPS. But I mean, honestly, the game still looks great. Like you look at the footage and stuff, it still looks very solid, and the 30 FPS I highly doubt is really going to have that much of an impact on your gaming experience. But it is something that is worthy to note nonetheless, and so there you go. The game is 30 FPS. Pretty sure the Origami King was 30 FPS too, and that game looked fantastic. So what are we gonna do? At number 14, there is a new warp pipe room to fast travel to other towns over here, and it's completely revamped from what it was in the original game. And so the structure of it seems very similar to what they did with the Origami King. So you just have one singular room, and you have all the pipes in a circle, and the pipes are actually marked, and so you don't have to memorize like which pipe goes to where, for instance. Now the pipes all have a number which represents a chapter where you went to that town in. And so this is great, just an easy way to travel to all the different places that you went throughout the game. It'll make like the Trouble Center in particular a much more accessible feature to have players play in, basically. There's also a pipe that leads straight to this room from Rookport, and so that just makes it even more easy to utilize this room. And I'm really excited to utilize this and actually conquer the Trouble Center, because I didn't really touch the Trouble Center that much when I played the game originally, so this just seems like a great excuse to touch that. And lastly, at number 15, there's a lot more subtle changes being made here that don't necessarily improve the game, but actually are made to basically help this game resemble its Japanese counterpart a lot more. Because when the game was originally released, the Japanese version had like certain like dialogues and stuff that was in the game, but the US version, for instance, would like change certain things that maybe weren't deemed as appropriate for American soil. Like the most obvious example of this so far is that Hooktail. So in the original American version of Thousand Year Door, Hooktail was basically affected by cricket sounds. So it was like an FX badge you had to get from the castle, and to utilize that while you're battling Hooktail to, you know, basically defeat him. But in the remake now, the sounds that Hooktail is being affected by are frog sounds, which is similar to the Japanese version. And so it looks like they're making changes here and there to make the game resemble the original Japanese version more, which is great. I'm really happy to see that. I'm interested in seeing what other changes are there that I might not be familiar with. But the more significant one that I'm actually really excited about is the fact that it seems like Vivian will get to retain her identity as a trans person that was originally in the Japanese version of the game, but changed overseas, such as in America. And so now there's dialogue that represents, Bedlam actually being a bit transphobic, which sounds like they're asking for controversy. But any fan of Thousand Year Door knows that this was just the way that the game was originally written and intended, and it actually does help to shed some light on trans visibility, which is really great. Vivian is one of the best characters in the Paper Mario series, and I'm so glad to see her being represented in the way that she was intended. So that may be the end of my 15 bullet point list, but like I said in the beginning of the video, there is something about potential post-game content I want to talk about here. And so there were lots of previews being put up about this game like this past week, but one of them came from Good Vibes Gaming, and the good fellas at Good Vibes Gaming, they had the courage to actually ask their Treehouse Nintendo rep if there was going to be any post-game content. So I'm just going to paste their segment from the video right over here. Go ahead and take a look.
If there's one thing I love about remakes and remasters, it's the inclusion of extras. Nintendo tends to keep pieces of their history like these under lock and key, so it was a huge surprise to me that the Thousand Year Door now includes both art and sound galleries for each chapter. To unlock them, you have to find all the star pieces and shine sprites in the chapter, which will then grant you access. Unfortunately, and for some pretty obvious reasons in my opinion, we didn't really get to see these. The inclusion of these galleries is sure to make me want to 100% the game when I get my hands on it, but there's a possibility something even bigger may be waiting for us when we get to play it ourselves.
Right, though I do want to emphasize the word possibility. We did, of course, ask if we could expect something along the lines of new post-game content for this remaster, kind of like what we got with the Super Mario RPG remake last year, knowing full well our Treehouse rep would probably plead the fifth on this particular subject. And, well, that's exactly what they did, basically telling us, you'll just have to wait and see. Now, personally, I got the sense that there may indeed be something planned on this front, but that's just my own interpretation and absolutely not a guarantee of anything.
So, okay, it doesn't really confirm that there's going to be post-game content yet, but it doesn't deny it either. It doesn't deny it either. So it tells me that like there is potential that there's going to be some kind of post-game content here. I can already see there being some sort of it because, they've done things like revamp the Trouble Center, for instance. Also, the 100 Trials is being highlighted over here. And so they could potentially just add something a little bit extra for players afterwards. And I'd be really curious to see what that would be. My big hope is a campaign for Luigi to chronicle his adventures in the Waffle Kingdom. But I know that seems pretty unrealistic and it probably isn't going to happen, but that'd be like the most hype thing to happen here. So let me know what kind of like bonus content you'd want to see in the game after finishing it. I would be curious to hear your thoughts. Maybe some sort of mode to like help replay bosses would be really cool as well. Maybe something like Professor Frankly could host. So I don't know. So many ideas to really squeeze as much as you can get out of this game. And I don't know. This is just so exciting to see Nintendo like really pay Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door the respect that it deserves, and I'm just like, wow, this is great. This is absolutely fantastic. This is absolutely amazing. Now, that's pretty much everything that I know of that's being added or changed in this game, but let me know if there's any like really small details that I might have missed here. You can put in the comment section. We'd love to like have like an ultimate source of everything over here, and if let me know your thoughts on all this stuff, and just stay tuned because the Thousand Year Door is less than a month away now, and I'm excited, super excited. I reserved my game a few days ago. I can't wait to pick it up on GameStop. Haven't picked up a game from GameStop in like years, and so just excited. I love you, Nintendo. It's ruining my life. But thank y'all so much. I gotta go edit this now. So this is Riders, riding out.